Hi guys, and welcome back to Chengi's World. So guys, I'm continuing with my cheating series. I again don't want to just go into stuff willy-nilly, but I have done a video for the side chick and my conversation with her, having been one myself unbeknowingly to me, and entertained being one as well in the past, and the lessons learned and the conversation that needs to be had. But I also wanted to speak to the main squeeze, the main girl, or the wife. And I know that you have written to me and just sitting there and you're thinking, if only I was thinner, nicer, kinder, smarter, you know, he would not be doing this to me. One of the things that I don't think men truly get, and if they do, they get it in their heads but not in their hearts, is how the dent and the emotional abuse that cheating does. And whether it's a man cheating or a woman cheating, it's emotional abuse. It is just the same as a man who emotionally batters his wife or physically batters her. It's emotionally abusive, and it seeps away and it sucks away at a woman's self-worth. And then it doesn't help when you've got people out there saying, well, if you just didn't get your behind fat, if you didn't, just whatever, then he would have stayed with you. If you didn't have a big mouth, he would have stayed with you. If you didn't whatever, he wouldn't be cheating. And of course, he will quite happily, when he's caught, if you were a better woman, I wouldn't be cheating. And so you spend so much time looking inside of yourself, going through everything and trying to figure out what you did. Now, let me just stop you right there. Cheating has little to do, I say little, not nothing, little to do with what one person does to another. We are led away by the lust of our own hearts. We are led away by the lust of our own heart. There isn't a person who is in a committed relationship who hasn't looked at somebody else and thought, No one. The difference is not everybody shows it. Even you've looked at some other guy who you're not married to instead of your husband and fantasized over that person. As far as God is concerned, the fact that you've looked at them lustfully means you're already an adulterer, which there's a reason for that. It's not that God is about condemning. God is about making us all realize that all have sinned, that we're all a mess. There are two types of people, I have decided that there are two types of people. I'm not saying it's what God has said. I'm saying I have said there are two types of people. People who get caught and people who don't get caught, period. Sometimes we don't get caught because the action has happened in our heads and in our hearts and we haven't played it out. Or we don't get caught because we're that kind of clever. We know how to play our game, so we leave no tracks behind. And the people that get caught. It's the same thing as teenagers that get pregnant, those that don't get pregnant. You can look at the teenager that's pregnant and put a judgment on that child, on that person, and decide that they are loose. And these young girls that get pregnant nowadays, thinking that your teenage daughter isn't playing the same game. The difference is one used protection and one didn't, but both of them committed the same crime, baby. You know what I'm saying? Life is not about who's the bad person, who's not the bad person. And it's not about getting caught either. This video is to say that we are all guilty. You are guilty of not getting caught. Or you're guilty of a whole totally different crime. What leads us away was nothing to do when you looked at that guy and thought he was nice. That had nothing to do with not loving your husband. That had to do with the deficit in our humanity that always is looking for something better at all times. It was not a reflection necessarily of how he treats you that made you look at that other guy and think it's nice and fantasize a little bit and go in your head somewhere else. No, that was because you have a deficit. We need something different. We're built for variety. We like choice. And some of us have learned the discipline to stop the thought in its tracks, and others follow through. That is not to make an excuse. It's just to show that others have worked more on their character than others. But the nature, we all share the nature. Now, he didn't go off because of anything you did. His character was not built well. He did not learn the disciplines that he needed to learn at the time that he needed to learn them in order for him to look and keep moving. He had to stop. That is a showing of your man's weaknesses in his character, in the formation of his character. Now it is up to you whether you want to work with him. I cannot tell you to stay or to leave. That is a decision you have to make, because the circumstances around cheating are all very different, you see. They're all very different, and how we all respond to them is different. So this video is not about should you stay or should you go. You have to analyze that decision in the understanding of what is really going down here. It's not always wretched wickedness. There's something going down that you are not particularly or don't know about or understand. And I am saying to you, cheating is always a result of a weakness in our character, not always as a result of not loving someone, because that's the emotional realm. Character is the discipline realm. Character is the realm where we discipline ourselves to do what is right at all times, under all circumstances, regardless of the excuse. That is something that we grow in character. Character is the fruit of the Spirit, which means it's something that we must grow. The gifts of the Spirit are different, but the fruit of the Spirit is something that we must cultivate and nurture. And many of us haven't learned how to cultivate and nurture that discipline in us, because what keeps a person from cheating from the other is discipline. It's emotional, mental discipline. So your partner is lacking discipline. So you have to ask yourself, do you want a man to continue to be with a man who lacks discipline or not? That is a question you have to ask yourself. But understand that it is not a reflection of how he feels about you. We always make the mistake. I know this video is not going to be popular with everyone, but we always make the mistake of thinking that that lack of character displayed, that lack of discipline is a result of no love. There are men out there who are in arranged marriages who do not love their wives but have never cheated on them. Remain disciplined. Cheating hasn't got anything to do with how that person feels. I'm not saying he loves you and he went and cheated on you. And some of you are going to say, well, if he loves you, he wouldn't have cheated on you. That's very well and good, honey. And I appreciate and understand where you're coming from, but that is not life's reality. We don't always eat because we're hungry. Well, if your tummy is full, stop eating, right? No, sometimes you see something nice, your tummy is full, but discipline will say to you, you know what, girl, you've eaten enough, keep on moving. And some of us out there, and you're going to say it's not the same. It is exactly the same thing. If your belly is full, men don't even cheat sometimes. If you are cheating on Beyonce and you were cheating, I've said this in my other video, and you're cheating on these amazing women who are just loyal and have never done anything publicly to disgrace you and have loved you up. If men can cheat on good women, and women can cheat on great guys. I know women who have cheated on men who protect them, love them, cherish them, and they have cheated and continue to do so. If people can do that, then it can't have much to do with the emotional realm. It's got to do with an entitlement. It's got to do with a lack of discipline. Now you, and only you, decide whether you can live with that or not. Whether the Bible says you can live with it or not, that's a decision you make between you, your God, and that person, and decide whether or not you want to consistently live through that, or whether you feel that person is going to grow in character. That is a decision that you make, and I judge everything on a case-by-case basis. If somebody comes to me, I want to hear the whole story, and I will give you advice based on what I believe is the wisdom of God, what I feel God is saying, and what I know will be absolutely the best for both of you and the person who is in front of me. Now, that being understood, there are things that we can do that can culture or cultivate or encourage somebody to step out on us. It's there in all of us, but there are situations that we can do as wifey or girlfriend that can, when that person is fighting in themselves and fighting to gain that discipline and rein themselves in a situation where the opportunity to never get caught is there, because usually most men don't cheat. the ones that don't cheat usually just don't want to get caught, and they just don't want to risk it, and they just don't want to hurt you. But really, if an opportunity was presented to them where they could totally get away with it until they die and nobody would ever find out, the reasons for doing it start to increase. Beg your pardon. The reason for doing it start to increase. So what is it that we can do? Now, you can't keep a man who doesn't want to be kept. Look, if your man is hell-bent on cheating and that's his nature and that is character, there's nothing I'm going to say to you that's going to proceed out of my lips today that you can do to stop him from doing that. That is his character. You just have to decide to live with it or keep on moving, okay? But I am talking about a woman who has a good man at home, a good man that protects, provides, and cherishes her, but has become complacent, not understanding that there is somebody out there who will entertain that conversation with your man. A girl out there who doesn't have a conscience like mine or values like mine. A girl out there who's broken enough, naive enough to believe the lie and needs to hear it and needs to live that life. And we've already discussed that side chick situation. And there is one who just doesn't care. They just do not care. Okay, so what can you do? There are many things that you can do. You cannot let yourself go and just become fat and just let it go. You used to look after yourself. You know what? Even if I always say we don't look good for our men, we look good for the women around our men. The truth is, your husband loves you fat, skinny, short, whatever. If it's true love, he loves you in all your shapes and all your forms. But one thing that will put off other women is when his hot wife comes to work. Then they think, oops, I can't compete with that. And they will back off. It's just how it is. If you show up and he's there trying to get the attention of his secretary or whatever, and you show up and you are fat, and I'm not talking about the guy who's intent on cheating. Please understand, he's going to cheat anyway. I'm talking about your good husband who loves you, and his secretary comes into work in heels and what, and she hits the gym, and she's single, and she tells him how nice he's looking. You should never be the last person to tell your hubby he looks good. And that goes for the guys as well. You should never be the last person to tell your girlfriend she looks good. And some men make the mistake of not telling her, thinking that if I don't tell her, make her feel crap, she's going to go out there, feel crap about herself, and men won't approach her. But what he doesn't know is that the first guy that says to her, hey, she's going to bite because she's not heard you tell her how beautiful she is in forever. It's the same thing with men. Men need to know that they're your champion. He needs to know that he's your hero. He needs to know that you appreciate him. He needs to know that he's got a woman at home who thinks the world of him. You need to burden him with honor. You need to burden that man with respect. You need to burden him. Do you understand what I'm saying to you, girl? Burden the man with honor and respect. He has to be carrying the weight of your trust. Stop looking through his phone. Stop being a private investigator. Stop chasing him and looking at things because you're insecure. He's got to carry the burden of your trust. He's got to carry the burden of your honor, your respect. Respect your man. Look good for yourself, for him. Make sure that you are keeping things at home or whatever in your... Keep things together. Keep things tight. Be the woman that he met as much as you can be, as often as you can be. I know it is not always practical. Don't be writing in the comment section, blah, blah, blah. I was married for 13 years. It's not always practical. And yes, we don't always want to be looking our best, but I'll tell you something. There was a time when I wasn't working and my ex-husband wasn't working, and I would wake up every morning and I would do me like this. You know what I'm saying? I always looked good. Why? Because I had to respect myself and respect that relationship. Because when times are down, you don't need to look down. It's all about discipline, ladies. You cannot expect to be some kind of way and expect that man to keep coming home when he's being offered other things. Just as he cannot expect you to be a loyal and faithful wife when he don't protect you, provide for you, and cherish you, he cannot sit at home and expect you to be loyal and faithful to him. Now, you can be. I know women who have been, who are today loyal and faithful to men who were just worthless. But that's because they've developed their discipline. So the point I'm giving you is almost like a two-edged sword. It is not your fault that he's gone off and done that. That is about him. It's about his discipline, about his deficit in his nature, his undeveloped character. It's not about your too fat, too short, too whatever. It's got nothing to do with you. It's got little to do with you. But it's also about taking care of that little. The little foxes spoil the vine. It's the small littles that you don't do. It's the complacency. It's the he knows where home is. It's the attitude. It's the environment you create at home that can be the tipping point. It's always a slight tipping point, ladies. And that's that point. And so we need to take care of those details and take responsibility for providing the tipping point one way or tipping point next way. So don't let that side chick, don't let that other woman have anything over you that you have control over. You can't control him and his condition, but you can control your wifing. You can control your environment. You can make sure that he comes home. And if you're a housewife, that he comes home to a clean home. And if you're a working woman, you can make sure that you hire the appropriate help to make sure that your home is homely for you, for your children, for him, or for the both of you. You don't have to be the one to scrub. We're in the modern day, world. I don't necessarily feel my job is to clean. I hire a cleaner to do that. Of course, in my own house right now I do it. But if I was married with more kids, then we have a cleaner. We have a maid to do the laundry. Blah blah blah. They're not so expensive, those stuff. I know it sounds like, can I just say posh? They're not that expensive. There are people who will do it for you, who will iron your laundry, blah blah blah, for 20 quid, okay, or whatever the equivalent is, and you can afford that. You just do your nails at home, whatever. But the point I'm making is, create an environment that makes it hard for him to tip over. That will just I've met men who other women have wanted to go on, and they've said, I couldn't do that to her. She's a good woman. It's a small and slight statement, but he knows what he has at home, because that woman at home is doing what she can, holding fort. Some of us behave in such a way that it makes it easier. It just makes that conscience less sharp. She just trusts me anyway. She doesn't trust me anyway. So what the hell? She doesn't really take care of herself. When I get home, if she has showered, I'll be lucky. I don't even know if there's going to be food at home, if anything is going to be cooked. She may have cooked for herself and the kids and gone to bed, and then I'm just going to have to figure it out when I finish my shift at midnight or whatever. Like, I know that there are things that we're doing out there, ladies. The man hasn't been laid for like 6 months because you're tired, you got a headache, and you want that man to just be like, no, I don't do the side chick. It ain't gonna work, girl. It ain't gonna work. I am not saying that I'm not speaking to everybody's situation. I know everybody has a unique set of circumstances. Sometimes it's the woman that works and the man that stays at home. I'm referring to what you have the power and the control over to do it. So if you are the wife and the girlfriend and you're watching this, take the burden off yourself. Just release yourself, and then put some discipline and some work into yourself as well, so that we can curb this thing together. So as the side chick is saying no, you are creating a yes environment at home. Okay, so that's my message to you today, girls. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of you. See you on Facebook and Instagram. Love you lots. Mwah. Take care of you. And make sure you subscribe. Bye bye now.